Unless you're brand new to the guitar community, you probably already know the rule that if you can't solo, you're a worthless poser that has failed at life. So I want to go over just a few lead playing techniques. Now this isn't like how to solo. There's so many different techniques on how to solo and so many different ways to come at it. It's really kind of like a combination of everything you've ever learned on guitar. But I'm just going to go over a few different things that's kind of helped me visualize what I'm doing. So if there's a solo, you don't just sound like you're playing scales the whole time, right? So we're going to set up a really simple loop in A minor. It's just going to be an A minor chord looped over again like this. I'm just playing an A minor chord and then adding a G note, the third note on the E string. And I'm just looping that over and over again. This isn't meant to be a mind-blowing solo. It's just meant to showcase 3 different ideas put together in one coherent-ish form, right? So here we go, let's try it. So that was just a really short, simple lick solo, whatever you want to call it. And even if it didn't seem simple, I'm going to break it down so it makes more sense right now. So let me play it again slower. Okay, now this is really a combination of 3 different ideas which we're going to go over. And the first one is an arpeggio. Now, we used an A minor chord. This is played over an A minor chord, so it would make sense to use an A minor arpeggio. If you don't know what that means, you just play the A minor chord 1 note at a time. So if we start here on the 5th fret, which is an A minor arpeggio would be a 1, 3, 5 in the A minor scale. So here's the scale. 1, 3, 5. Now we can add another note, the 7th note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So then we end up getting 1, 3, 5, 7, 8. And the beautiful thing about arpeggios is they kind of make you work throughout a scale where you're not playing everything in order, so it seems a little more broken up, right? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move this exact same shape up an octave. So we have 1, 3, 5, 7, and here's the octave. So what if we started here and did the exact same thing? Like if you remember, here's the first note, the next note is 3 frets down, a minor third. So once we get to that octave, the 8th note, we just go down 3 frets, right? And then we're starting the shape again. Now, it would be nice to do the exact same shape from here, but that doesn't sound right because we have to compensate for the B string being tuned differently. So we have to move everything else up a fret. So instead of going, we're going to move the B string up a fret. So all together through 2 octaves we have. One more time. Okay, now, if you just do that up and down, you'll get your muscle memory to a place where you don't really have to think about it. And then the key is to make it sound in a solo, to make it sound more like lead playing, is to break it up so it's not so even, right? So what we did earlier is, you'll notice I went straight up the arpeggio, back a note, and then back another note. So I reversed the last 2 notes. And it's kind of swung a little bit. So instead of, it's swung. So the first part is, so if you kind of think of that as one chunk of it. Being a good lead player is all about using your ears and hearing how different things are. So I want you to kind of focus on using this shape and hearing how to swing it. And just get that part down. And then once you have that, go to the next part. And notice I'm putting some vibrato on that last note. So basically we have an arpeggio to do the first part of this lead playing, right? Now the next part we're going to jump into after this. Okay, so this part right here. Now, what I'm doing is I'm taking my knowledge of the A minor scale, but I'm starting on my pinky on the B string. And I'm going backwards 4 notes. So this is a way to use scales, and we're kind of adding that to the arpeggio to make it sound a little bit different, but we're still playing in the same thing, A minor. So I'm going backwards through 4 notes starting on my pinky. There's 4, and these are pull-offs. And then I'm going to reverse to go up a note. Alright, so now we've added that to the arpeggio. Into the scale. Alright, and you can really alter and manipulate this in any way that you want. But the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the actual A minor chord that we made the loop with, right? So this really simple A minor voicing. And we're going to take single notes from it. I'm just hitting the D, G, D, B, G. So I'm taking those single notes from the chord voicing and adding that into the lead playing. And then the next thing I'm doing is taking this exact same shape, and this can work with any chord shape that's self-contained, is you can move it past the 12th fret, the octave, right? So if this is an A minor, I can just pretend this, the nut of the guitar, is the 12th fret, and then mirror it here, and get the next octave A minor, right? So you can slide, and I'm just hitting the first fret after the octave, or the first fret after the nut. So, and I'm really using my pinky because I know I'm going to jump back here. Now, you could easily just go and keep the integrity of the shape, but I just kind of like using my pinky for that. So, all together we have an arpeggio into a scale, into a chord voicing. And I think a combination of these 3 things is a good way to look at it, because if you just think of just arpeggios when you're doing a lead part, all of your stuff is going to sound like arpeggios. If you think of just scales, everything's going to sound like a scale, and if you think of just voicings, everything's going to sound like a voicing. So really, being able to kind of mix and match your knowledge of chords, arpeggios, and scales, or however else you feel comfortable using your ear to do it, is a good way to kind of break up just the up and down feeling that a lot of people have difficulty with when they're trying to create a lead part.